Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another session of BMC's YouTube mainframe channel. My name is Brett Roberts, and I'm a software consultant at BMC Software. And I'm here today to talk to you about our AMI security product. The topic for today's session is how to create a thread. We're here at the command center of AMI for Security. This is our dashboards view. Now, as you know, when messages come into our command center, they get correlated to certain threads. And we have many out-of-the-box threads available at our command center that you can see listed here on the correlation threads view. But what if you want to create a thread to capture an activity that we don't do out of the box? For example, let's say that you have an important data set that you want to watch, and you want to create a thread that will capture all the accesses to that particular data set. Well, let's walk through the process of creating a thread for an important data set. So here at the correlation threads panel, I'm going to go up here to the right-hand top and click Add New. Now in this next screen, there are several fields that we want to fill out. We're going to put in a correlation thread title. So for example, we might say the title is Important Data Sets Accessed. Okay, that's my title. And in the time value, we're going to we could potentially restrict the time period that this thread is going to watch for that activity. But I'm just going to leave it starting at midnight for 24 hours so that we can catch any activity to this thread. Now in the match IP address group, we can put one address, we put a group of addresses. And in this case, since we're dealing mostly with ZOS LPARs, then we're going to put in our typical @ZOS address group. Now, if I want to restrict this thread to certain facility types, I would select this pull down here and click on the facility type that I want to select, but I'm going to leave it at any facility type for now, like that. And then in addition, if we want to restrict severity type, we could also select that, but I'm going to leave that as any as well. And then in the match expression, we want to put a value in here that when matched will cause the message to be correlated to this thread. So I have an important data set that I want to watch. I'm going to go to my system and show you that this particular data set right here is an important data set to me. So I'm going to watch activity to that data set. I'm going to put it right here in the match expression. So there's the data set, and that completes the fields for this particular thread. Now to save the thread, I go up here to Save New. And now my thread has been defined. It's listed right up here at the top. This indicator right here, this pin indicator, indicates that the thread right now is pinned to the top. So if I change the order of the list of threads that are displayed there, then it'll remain there. And if I want to remove that pin, I can go back into the definition of the thread and change this value here from pin this thread to the top. I could change that to no, but I'm going to leave it at yes because I like my thread pin there. So now that the thread is defined, let's see what happens when someone tries to access that important data set. So this particular user, when he goes to browse the data set, he's browsing it, looking at some of the members. Okay, now let's go back to the command center to see if our thread was picked up. I'm going to refresh this screen, and we can see now that there are 4 activities to this thread. And when I click on the messages that have occurred for this thread, then here are the actual events that occurred when someone tried to access this thread. We can see here's the dataset name. We can go down to the user who did it. Turns out that's me. And there's my user ID. So that's a very simple example of how to create a thread to watch an important data set. I want to take one step beyond that, and let's go back to the thread because I want to show you an example of some more advanced checking that you can do for this thread. So down here in the match expression, we listed the dataset name. But maybe I don't want to watch every access to this dataset. Maybe I just want to watch access to this dataset from users who shouldn't be accessing it. Now on my system, I have certain lists. We're going to go now to the list screen. And in this list, I have a list called, let me go find it. There we go. There's my list, allowed users list. And in the allowed users list, I'll expand it for you. We have a list of user IDs that are allowed on my system. So I'm going to use this list to update the thread when someone who's not on this list accesses the dataset. So we want to remember this list name, which is at allowed users, and I'm going to go back to my thread definition. And in the match expression, I'm going to say the dataset name and not in at allowed users at as the match expression for this thread. The intent, of course, is to have this thread updated when someone who's not in the list accesses the dataset. So I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to go back and access the dataset from this user ID. Now this user ID is RDABXR. If you remember, that user is in the list. You may not have noticed that, but it is in the list. So I'm just going to go there, access the dataset like before, and then go back to the thread and see if it's been updated. So I'm going to click apply. We can see that no updates to this thread by that user because that user was in the list. But if I go to another user ID, this one here, this one is MKTREM. So if this user browses the data set, because it's my very important data set, and we'll go back and look at our thread, click apply, and now we can see that it has been updated. When we go look at the details for that thread, we can see in fact that it was updated by this user, not me. So that's a simple example of how to create a thread and how to create some expressions which allow you to decide how you want that thread to be updated or how you want that thread to be managed. So that's all I have for you today. Come back next time to learn more about activities here at the Command Center. Thanks a lot and have a great day.